Today, we're going to talk about how to write a methodology chapter. Research methodology is a structured and scientific approach used to collect, analyze, and interpret quantitative or qualitative data to answer research questions or test hypotheses. A research methodology is like a plan for carrying out research and helps keep researchers on track by limiting the scope of the research. It describes the techniques and procedures used to identify and analyze information regarding a specific research topic. There are three basic types of research methodologies. First is quantitative research. This focuses on measuring and testing numerical data. This approach is good for researching a large number of people in a short amount of time. This type of research helps in testing the causal relationships between variables, making predictions, and generalizing results to wider populations. The second is qualitative research. This examines the opinions, behaviors, and experiences of people. It collects and analyzes words and textual data. This research methodology requires fewer participants, but it is still more time-consuming because the time spent per participant is quite large. This method is used in exploratory research, where the research problem being investigated is not clearly defined. The last type is called mixed methods research. This uses the characteristics of both quantitative and qualitative research methodologies in the same study. This method allows researchers to validate their findings, verify if the results observed using both methods are complementary, and explain any unexpected results obtained from one method by using the other method. What steps should you take in writing the methodology chapter? First, describe your research question and the type of data you will need to use to answer it. Second, justify why this type of data is appropriate, relevant, and important to the question being asked. Third, explain your process of data collection. This is the place to state the tools and materials that were used to collect data, the process and criteria you use to sample subjects, and the size of your sample. You have to identify and rationalize your units of analysis, and also describe the step-by-step process of data collection. For example, describe any tools used for data collection, such as survey questionnaires, interview guides, or coding schemes. Fourth, expound on your approach to data analysis. Describe your approach to data analysis and outline the specific methods or techniques used for analyzing the data. For example, regression analysis or content analysis. Fifth, test reliability and validity. Describe how the research will measure what it intends to measure and avoid biases. And lastly, limitations of study. Indicate what are the parameters that limit your study and what else could be done in the future. Take note that if your research was quantitative, you will specify how your data was measured. If your data was qualitative, you will describe how data was recorded and how you observed or participated in the study. If you used existing data sets instead of collecting new data, you can elaborate on where you found the data sets, how the set was originally produced, and what criteria you used to select the data. Remember, always explain why you made these decisions. Here is an example of the description and justification in the methodology chapter. You can pause this video so as to be able to read this example. This is an example of the first 3 paragraphs for the explanation of the process. Again, you can pause this video in order to look through this example. Many studies, especially those that rely on qualitative data, have ethical considerations. If need be, this may also be included in the methodology chapter. 5 things to remember. 1. Ethical guidelines explain how the research adheres to ethical standards. 2. Informed consent for studies involving human participants described how informed consent will be obtained. 3. Confidentiality and anonymity discuss how participants' privacy will be protected. 4th, potential harm address any potential risk to participants or other stakeholders and how these will be minimized. This is especially true when you have a sensitive topic in your thesis. And 5th, the ethical approval. Mention any ethical review boards or committees that have approved this research when applicable. To summarize, these are the types of research and possible methods that match it, as well as its purpose and focus. The choice of research method depends on the research question, the type of data required, the study's goals, and the available resources. Remember that researchers often select the method that aligns best with their research objectives, ensuring that the approach yields reliable and valid findings. So, good luck on your research.